What's the wildest example of someone totally guessing your age wrong? I was hit on by two teens who looked no older than 15. I ignored it, but when it was followed up with a cat call, I stopped to say, "Guys, I'm 30. Kid nearly fell off his scooter. Apparently, I passed for 17. Feels pretty good lol. I brought some beer to the cashier. She said, "We need to ID everyone under 40, but obviously you're not," and then proceeded to laugh at the absurdity of the mere thought. I was 36. When I was 27, some of my classmates mistook me for being 18 because of my youthful appearance. I asked a girl out, assuming she was around 23, and she agreed. However, she turned out to be just 18. I only discovered her real age when I arrived to pick her up for our date, which I soon learned was her very first date, and her entire family was there to see her off. Backing out felt too awkward at that moment, so we went to the movie as planned. During the drive, I explained that I was 27 and had believed she was in her 20s when I asked her out. There was no second date. I became a dad at 34 years old. I worked for a bank and one of my customers was congratulating me on the birth. Another customer overheard and chimed in, "Oh, you're a grandpa now?" Edit, I was 32 years old. When I was 12 or 13, I went golfing with my dad and some old creep thought I was my dad's GF or wife. That's a toss-up. 1. I was 12. I was with my dad and sister checking out garage sales. This lady walks up to us and they started talking. He introduced my little sister and the woman states, "And this must be your wife." My parents married and started a family in their 30s. At that time my mom was 47. I was 12 and was mistaken for a 47-year-old. 2. I had just turned 31 and a coworker guessed my age. I wouldn't put you a day over 74. I pulled out my driver's license to show the year I was born. At one time, when my brother and I would hang out together, people tended to assume that I was the older brother. He was 18 years older than me, lol. A girl I played baseball with was looking for a babysitter for her kids. I told her I had an 18-year-old at home. She asked how? I thought you were like 25. I was 40, and the 18-year-old wasn't even my oldest kid. When I was 16, I was at a Twilight convention and I won the trivia contest, so I got to be escorted to the party by one of the celebrity guests. Well, he was a little drunk and started flirting with me. He asked if I wanted something to drink. I declined, saying I was underage, only 16. Poor guy was mortified and was word vomiting apologies. He didn't talk to me after that. When I was in college, people thought I was in my early 30s. 20 years later, I'm a college professor and my students still think I'm in my early 30s. I just had my baby and my son was in the hospital room with me and a nurse walked in, looked at him and asked if he was my son. We're the exact same age. Once when I was about 32 or so, I was in a department store browsing. The employees were going around to the shoppers offering some sort of discount card or something. One guy was headed towards me to offer whatever it was, but paused, looked at me and said, "Oh, are you 18? And 2 different times someone asked if my mom was my grandma. She was 28 years older than me, so it's not like she had me later in life. I'm 55 and was recently treated for stage 3 cancer. 3 weeks ago the receptionist at my gym looked at my ID and gasped. She thought I was in my 30s. I've been on cloud 9 ever since. Dude that I went to high school with, same grade mind you, he happens to come into a tobacco shop I'm working at a couple years down the road and says something like, "I'm surprised you didn't card me." I'm like, "Nah man, we went to school together." He goes, "Oh yeah? How old are you?" Like 33? Cause I'm 28. Bro, I'm 28 too. Then he's all shocked. "Whoa. You look way older than me." Gee, thanks, you prick. My family went out for dinner to a fancy restaurant the day I graduated from high school. It was a jacket and tie kind of place. I jokingly ordered a beer. The waiter brought it without even questioning me. I was 18. When I was 19, some idiot told me I looked 28. I didn't. He wore glasses, so maybe he was half blind. At age 27 I was guessed to be 23 by a couple of people. And I took it as a compliment when I was asked for ID at nearly 29. Freshman in high school, I walked into a study hall full of upperclassmen who were all goofing off. When I walked in they all took their seats. They thought I was the teacher. I was 23, my sister was 18. We ran into a family friend we hadn't seen in a while and she asked me how school was going. Mid-30s my colleagues would forget and assume I was mid-20s like them. When I was 16, a stranger thought I was the mother of my 8-year-old sister and her 10-year-old friend. I was watching over them, so maybe that's why. But I remember I was horrified.